All right, Fresh. Let's go to a marquee rivalry game. This is a really good one. I really do enjoy this game every single year, and there's a great history with it. It is the USC Trojans are traveling to South Bend, Indiana to face Notre Dame. Currently, Notre Dame is a 2.5 point favorite. That's a little bit less than home field advantage there. So I believe Vegas is saying that they believe USC is the better football team. Over under. Guys, I'm going to make this easy for you. Take the over. It's 63, but take the over. Take the over, take the over, take the over. USC's defense can't stop anybody, and I don't think Notre Dame's defense is going to be able to stop USC. Take the over. Fresh, I'll turn it over to you. USC, Notre Dame.
Whew. Well, I will be in the Chicagoland area for the weekend, so I'm going to try to count USC fans at the airport who are flying in and flying out. Hopefully, I see a lot of scarlet and gold there. But if not, I think Notre Dame fans are national. We'll count them as coming through as well. So if you see me, say hi. We'll talk. Um, Watching the end of the Arizona USC game on Saturday night in Vegas, at first you thought, like, am I asleep? Is this a dream? Like, is this really happening? This defense just can't stop the back quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats. And it actually went to overtime, and Arizona actually had a chance to win it. And USC made only one play all day on defense, and that was to stop them on the 2 point, the very end of the ball game. Were they looking ahead to Notre Dame, or is that defense just that terrible? I think it's a little of both, because the defense, they've been god awful all season, folks. This is not an early '90s, mid '90s Pete Carroll, era defense. These guys, they are struggling out there. Maybe they think that they can play a little looser because they know they have a great offense, but at some point you got to stop, buddy. And we are at the point of the year right now. USC needs to have a defense that stops people because you have bigger games coming up, and it starts here with South Bend versus Notre Dame. Where do they show up on downs? Can they get off the field in third? Can they force turnovers? Can they get sacks? You're going to face some better defenses, and Notre Dame has an amazing defense. What if Caleb Williams does struggle? What if he has a couple fumbles, a couple third downs, doesn't convert? You're stuck. You got to get stops because Notre Dame could get that offense going again and put you away. And then Lincoln Riley, everything you want at USC is a waste. Your entire focus there is to win a national championship. You haven't even won a Pac-12 title yet, and your defense continues to get worse and worse and worse week in and week out. That exact same trait from Oklahoma followed you here. Nothing has changed. You have done nothing different. Can you change that course? Can you change your coaching trajectory by actually having someone play defense for the Trojans? That's what I want to see on Saturday. Notre Dame, this game actually, I'll pause real quick. This game would have been better if you didn't choke at Louisville. You lay down versus the Cardinal. They played great, but you had a chance there to win that football game, and you let it down. And now this is, again, we're back on seasons on ice. You lost to Ohio State. You beat Duke. You survived late. You lose to Louisville. You lose here, that's 3 losses. Who knows what happens later on? You still got Clemson, down the stretch. This could be a tough point for Coach Freeman. You had all the hype early. Now you've got to match it up. Can you finish the job? You almost had Ohio State, and you let them off the hook. Play all 11 guys on every play in defense and shut down USC. This is going to be a big challenge. USC's offense is very, very good. But you've got to get some stops here and there. And Sam Hartman and that offense have got to get cooking again. We saw them looking great. Ohio State came to town. They struggled. They weren't exactly explosive versus Duke. They really didn't show up last week versus Louisville. Where did this offense go? Where did Estime? Where did Hartman? Where did this entire offense go? Notre Dame, bring it back. Wake up the echoes. You're going to need to score points in this football game. Maybe you have to slow it down a little bit. Take the air out of the football, slow the game down, keep Caleb Williams and the entire UC offense on the sideline. That's probably the best option right there. But you have to score touchdowns in the red zone. You can't be settling for field goals, and you can't turn the ball over. You have got to show up. Because right now, if you lose this ball game, Notre Dame's an afterthought. That's 3 losses in 4 games. You're done. You're a 9-3 team at best, and it's over. Can you change that narrative? Because last year, you had a bunch of clunky losses early. You were an afterthought. You're kind of up and down, up and down. Can you get that monumental big win at home? If this game was on the road, I would say you have no shot in USC all the way. This is in South Bend. The Magic almost helped you versus Ohio State. Can the Magic actually come through and get you a big W? Defense needs to be there. They need to play hard. Bertrand, Morrison at corner. All those guys need to come through on the defensive line, rotate, get pressure. Do not overrun Caleb Williams. He's going to run right past you. Contain him. Force him to throw the football. Do not let his legs become the major issue. Because when he breaks contain, that's where receivers open up at the back end. You've got to keep him contained. Do not overrush. Make yourself stop. Get your hands up. Contain him. Make him throw the big boy throws. Offensively, Sam Hartman, you want a focal point game? This is your focal point game. You've got to make your throws and you've got to lead the offense. Because if not, your NFL stock is going to start dropping real quickly because we've seen ups and downs. We haven't seen the up in the big games lately. We need to see it on Saturday. You need to show up on Saturday night and get the job done. This USC defense is not good. You should be able to score at least 24 points. If you're not scoring 24 to 30 on USC, we got bigger question marks on that entire Notre Dame offense. You've got to put it up, whether it's running, throwing, combination, taking the air out of the ball. You've got to manage this thing and get it done for a lot of reasons. Notre Dame, if you want to truly be back in the elite, this is another chance. You want the big matchups, you got to start winning some of these big matchup games. It's great to play, but you got to find a way to get the W eventually. You've done it a couple times versus Clemson. You didn't do it versus Ohio State. You didn't do it versus Georgia the past couple times you played them. You're losing to USC a lot recently. You've got to find a way to get a big W. Beating Duke is great, and that was an amazing environment. But people like you beat Duke, and still in everyone's mind, you beat Duke. You did not beat a superpower or a very, very good football team. You've got to now get that elite status back by winning one of these games. Does it happen on Saturday? If you beat Louisville, I would have said yes. It's just very tough for me to put faith in a team that struggled versus Louisville. Now, you know what? Forget it. Give me Notre Dame. The home field advantage comes into play. USC's defense is terrible. Notre Dame squeaks it out 34 to 30. Late drive by Hartman to put it through. It'll be a miracle win for Notre Dame. They'll talk about for a while.
Yeah, 34 to 40.
34-30.
30. So you actually have you have it just crossing the over.
Hits the over by one. Irish get the dub.
Wow. Fresh, I'm with you. If this game was in California, this would be runaway USC to me. I don't think that this Notre Dame offense and defense is set to travel. They need to go to the friendly confines of South Bend. They need touchdown Jesus right now. And it's really going to come down to that. USC, I've been so impressed with how well the offense has been clicking right now. Marshawn Lloyd, the transfer from South Carolina, we talked about him a little bit earlier in the year. He's been fantastic. 500 yards rushing. He's averaging almost 8 yards a carry right now. He could be a major problem for Notre Dame in this game. And that's where I think that this could get really interesting. Because let's say Notre Dame puts a spy on Caleb Williams defensively. Let's say they put Bertram as a spy. I'm just using him as a name. I don't know who they put it in there. And they stop Caleb Williams. But that's taking a linebacker out of the rushing run defense there. And I think that's going to open up a lot of stuff for Lloyd, maybe a little bit for Jones as well for USC. And then, as you have to adjust to that run offense there, those cornerbacks, which Notre Dame's got some great cornerbacks. They have the ability to match up with Washington and Rice there. It's going to open up some throws for Caleb Williams. I mean, you're going up against the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. They're going to put up some serious points. With USC, though, here's my biggest problem. Like, all of last year, we talked about how great USC's offense was, but how, just god-awful, this is one of the biggest turds of a defense out there. And we thought, that this was going to be the year things were going to be different. Last year, USC was giving up 415 yards of total offense. This year, it's 421. There's both years, they're almost letting up a full point better now. They were 27.9, and this year it's only 27. It's not changing. It's the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know what you need to do. I don't know what Lincoln Riley needs to do to address this. Okay, maybe is it the kids you're bringing in still? You've only been there for 2 years. They always say give them 3 years to bring in their recruits and make the real changes. Are we going to see a defensive jump next year? Because if we don't, this you could lose to Notre Dame, and not go to the playoff and USC kind of crumbles away, they're not firing Lincoln Riley after this year. They're going to roll it back with him one more year. But it's going to make next year extremely interesting because this defense has been so bad for 2 years in a row. Right now, in the last 3 games, USC has allowed 66 points in the second half. Okay? 66 points. They have played Arizona, Colorado, and Arizona State. Those are not marquee offenses. Colorado, yes, they played with a little bit of fire and they got some talent over there in Boulder, but it's not like you're looking at offensive juggernaut there. Man, for me, Notre Dame, I think this is a get-right game for Sam Hartman. I think this is a get-right game for SMA. But I'm going to give you a guy that I really need to see something out of. Jaden Greathouse. I want to call him Greenhouse, but Jaden Greathouse, true freshman, has been getting a lot of playing time. He only has 13 catches on the year. This is one of those games that he needs to make a name for himself. The lights are going to be extremely bright. The lights were extremely bright for Notre Dame in the game against Ohio State. This is another one. Everyone's going to be watching on this game, even though it's on Peacock. Also will be on NBC. He needs to show off as he's going to be the next great wide receiver for Notre Dame. He needs to really show up in this game. I need to see something out of him. I'm with you, Fresh. I'm hesitant on this. Give me USC though. I can't pick against the Trojans right now until someone beats them, and I think next weekend it'd be interesting. They got Utah. As weird as this sounds, it's a rivalry game, but you can't be looking at next week we need to slay the dragon that is Utah. That's been a bugaboo for USC. Don't look ahead. Focus on this one right now. But give me USC. I'm going to say USC by about 4. I would flip the spread on this. I would say USC 2.5, 3.5, right in that range there. But I'll take the Trojans with it. I think that it's going to be a shootout. Like I said at the start, hammer the over. This is going to be a lot of points. I'm going to say 44 to 41 in this game. So I'm going to say a lot of points.
Well, folks, I mean, looking early at the weather, it's supposed to be some rain in the Chicago-Atlanta area all weekend. High mid 50s, low 40s. We might get a wet track. If I'm Notre Dame, I'm the field grounds crew. Maybe let the grass grow a little bit higher. Make a little extra more traction. Don't let those speedsters from California, get a good grip. Do what you have to do. Muck it up a little bit. Take advantage of all the elements. The weather's gonna be changing. If they can play in 45-degree weather, you're going from 90 they've played out basically in California, cutting that in half. That could be a big factor. So let's see what Notre Dame, if they have any little juice left, touchdown Jesus gives them a little blessing, might be able to pull it off. But it's going to be an entertaining football game on Saturday night.